In this episode of the Pad Bank, we speak to CP, the creator, where we discuss methods to stay creative, overcoming depression as a creator, and receiving feedback from top-tier producers including Jermaine Dupri, Zaytoven and HitMaka.
I made it. I made it. I made it. I produced. I made it. I made it. I produced. I cooked up.
Hello and welcome to the Pad Bank, and this is episode number 18. No, this is episode number 19, and this is the first episode of 2021. So it's a bit late, but Happy New Year to you all. I trust you had a nice holiday period. It seems so far away now. Like saying that just seems strange. As I record this, it's like the 21st or 22nd. What is it? 24th. It's the 24th of January already. So you might be wondering why I haven't done an episode for so long. 2021, the first month of the year, for me, I like to reflect. I like to take some time out just to kind of reflect on, the year ahead, the coming months, reflect on what's gone by. And, 2020 was just a mad year. And for myself, 2020 was a year of overindulgence, just being locked down, being in the house, the whole change of routine from like March, April, with the gyms closing, with all the other recreational activities that I used to be involved in, taking my son to football, going to the gym, doing all these other things, all that just went. And, it just felt like I was just in the house, eating, just overindulging. So come 2021, I says, you know what? It's time to detox. So the reason I haven't done an episode so far is because I've just had time out. I've just basically taken time out and I've just been detoxing. So when I say detoxing, this is we're on day 20. So today, as I record this, is day 20 of a total detox. So I haven't eaten any solid foods. Today was the first day I've eaten any solid food for 20 days. I was doing a raw juice fast, so just living off raw juices. So if you've ever watched, there's a documentary, I think it's called Sick, Fat and Almost Dead or something like that. And basically the guy does this raw juice fast. He lives off these raw juices for I think he does 60 days or 90 days or something like that. He loses a ton of weight, clears up a lot of medical issues he has. He had some skin issues. And so basically I watched that years ago. And I've done it. I've done a juice fast for 30 days. And I said, you know what? 2021, that's how I'm starting my year. I'm starting my year just cleansing out my system, just purging out my system. Like I said, I feel like 2020 was a year of overindulgence. So today is day 20 of that detox. Now, like I said, today's the first day that I've eaten any solid food. So we went to my mother-in-law's. She invited us around for dinner. And I thought, you know what? I feel like I'm ready now. I've purged out my system. I'm ready to eat some food. So, and plus, my mother-in-law's cooking is very difficult to turn down any food. So anyway, man, it's been good. Listen, if I can encourage you to try it out, go for it, man, because you'll feel amazing. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I started, when did I start? The first Monday of 2020. So that was around the 4th of January. Haven't eaten no solid food, nothing. It's just all raw juices. So the first 3 days is grueling. Day one's not so bad. Yeah, day one is it's just getting out your system. You know what I mean? You see day 2 and 3, woof. Day 2 and 3 is tough. Really what I should have done, I should have started earlier on before I started back at work. You know what I mean? Because to function when your body's being purged like that, I had a terrible headache. I was weary. I felt weak. Like I was in bits, man. I felt like just staying in bed. But you see, by day 4 and 5, whew, you're flying. You got so much clarity. You sleep better. You're full of energy. Even though you're not eating, you just feel full of energy. Yeah, man. So it's just been good. It's been good. But like I said, during that period, I just felt like I need to reflect, and I didn't want to force anything. Like with these episodes, with these podcasts, I don't like to force them. If I ain't feeling doing it, I don't do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a slave to the podcast. And yes, I understand about consistency and, you know, serving the community. I understand all that, but I never want to just put it out for putting it out's sake. You know what I mean? If I've got something to say, if I've got something to share, I will do it. So yeah, like I said, it's been good. Purging out my system. I feel good. I'm going to continue. So like I said, I've got 10 days left. So today, like I said, I've eaten. But as of tomorrow, again, start again. And I'm going to go for another 10. I'm aiming to do 30 days in total. I've done it before. Like when I've done it before, I must have lost about, in terms of weight-wise, I lost almost 2 stone in weight. Now, obviously, I put it back on because... You know what I mean? You just go back to what I did. I just went back to normal eating, normal living, which is, to me, is all good. You know what I mean? I'd rather put weight on top of weight I haven't got than put weight on top of weight, because before you know it, I'll be like 18 stone, and that's not what I want. So yeah, man. Start of the year, purge out the system, detox, cleansing, clarity of the mind. You know what I mean? Refocus, vision setting, all that kind of stuff. That's what I've been under. And that's why I haven't done an episode for so long. But we're back for 2021. I'm looking forward to putting out some good content this year. I've got a good one for you today. So as I mentioned in the intro, I've got an interview with CP, the creator, a fellow creative. But I'll get into introducing him shortly. But a lot's gone on, man, since the last episode. So if you remember correctly, the last thing we'd done was the Flip It Challenge 200. So big up everyone who engaged and participated in that. The live stream was live, man. I have to say it was live. We went for about 3 hours, just going through all the beats, and then we changed the way that we review them and that we vote. So usually the way it happens is people just post their beats in the group, and then group members just vote. They just put a name up and that's it. Where with the 200th challenge, what we done, we had a voting, like a criteria, and it was marked out of 5 topics or 5 areas, sorry. So it was like creativity, originality, the mix and master. What else was it? There was a few other things. So, just general overall track, and there's a few other things. But basically, we gave everyone points out of 0 to 5 for each of those areas. And it was good, man. Like I said, people were engaged. I really enjoyed it, man. So we're going to look to do one of those, maybe once a quarter. We'll do something special, do the live stream and let people vote in that way. We've also got some other special things lined up. So I'm talking to some MCs about basically doing a Flip It challenge where the MC selects a sample or selects a theme or something like that, and then the producers go away, they produce their beats and then submit them, and then the MC will pick the winner and produce the track. So we've got some stuff lined up, man, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. But yeah, man, 2021 has been productive already. Like I said, it's the 24th today, and I've got a new project out, which I'm very happy with, and I'm very excited about. So if you don't already know, I've got a new project out. Again, another instrumental EP. It's called Still Cooking. It's available exclusively on Bandcamp. So if you just go to thepadbank.com, just scroll down the homepage and you should see a link to my last project, which was, or the previous project, which was Fire in My Soul. I'll post the new one on there as well, so you can go straight to that. But yeah, man, still cooking. It's out now. You see, this project was so organic. It just had to happen. So I'll tell you a quick story. Basically, I produced, arranged, recorded, mixed, and mastered the entire project in one weekend. So it was like, it started on the Friday. I came up in the studio like I usually do, and I was just going through some samples, and I stumbled across like a movie, and there was some sounds in it. I thought, yo, I'm gonna sample that. So I sampled the one thing, and then I carried on flicking through the movie, and before you know it, I was just finding like piece after piece after piece after piece, and it was like, yo, every one of them was a banger. So literally, I sat up for like probably the whole of the night almost. I was up till probably 4 o'clock in the morning, just making beats, sampling from this movie. So by the time I looked, I had about 8 tracks done. I'm talking in one night, like 8 tracks. And I was like, that's it. This is going to be a project. I've got this batch already. I only need like 6 to 8 tracks for an EP. This is done. You know what I mean? The beats are made. So then it was a case of once I made that decision mentally, it was like, yeah, man, I'm doing this. So then that was a Friday. The Saturday, come back in the studio, loaded everything back up, went through the beats again. I was like, yeah, man, this is going to go. So then I started doing some arrangements, really kind of focusing on finishing these tracks. My aim for that day was I'm finishing these tracks. So I went through, done like some different sequences, some intros and whatever, put it all together, and then started doing some some mixing. So I started mixing it in an MPC. Once I was happy with the sound, then I arranged it and exported it to Logic. And once I exported it, it was like, yeah, that one's done. Next, do the next one. Same thing, go for the same process. Do some sequencing, some arranging, get the mix right, do my final arrangement, boom, export it to Logic. So by the end of the Saturday, I had all my tracks there. I had like 8 tracks done. Then I went through the process of laying it out, like doing my sequence of the project, which track's going to kick it off, et cetera, right the way through. And then once I'd done that, it was like, okay, which ones ain't going to make it? I've got these ones laid out. Maybe that one just sounds a little bit, yeah, I'll take that one out, move that one over. Actually, I'm going to flip those 2 round, put that one there. So I've done my arrangement. Once I'd done that, it was a case of, you know what, I want to put some scratching on some of these tracks, because some of them I felt like they're just good as they are. They can just roll. Others I thought, no, I want to add something to this. So when you listen to the EP, you'll hear some of them I kind of went to town with the scratching. And that was probably the longest part, to be honest. For the whole process, the longest part of the process was doing the scratches, because it was like, I'm still a bit rusty when it comes to doing a yagga on the decks. I'm still a bit rusty, man. So, and I wanted it to sound a certain way. So, and again with that, it's like I just played it, made it run, done my scratching, captured it. If I didn't like it, I didn't like that, go back, delete that, go again. So it took a while to really get some scratches that I liked. Once I was happy with that, got it all sequenced out, it was a case of, okay, now I need to master it. So then I went through, done the mastering process. This is all in one weekend, This started on Friday, and I had it done by the Sunday. So Sunday was, like I said, doing the scratching and then doing the mastering. So by the Sunday it was done the artwork, uploaded it to Bandcamp, boom, project done, out, released in one weekend. So let me give myself a round of applause for that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Like I said, man, it was very organic. You know what I mean? It just came together, and that's why I knew I need to get this done. Oh, actually, I forgot to say as well, the sound bites, the skits, the transitions, that took a while as well, because once I came up with the theme of cooking, it was a case of, okay, I need to find some skits, some sound bites, just to use as transitions and intros and outros for each track. So that took some time as well, just going through and finding relevant stuff. But like I said, once it came together and I knew this is going to be a project, I was on it. I was like just 100% focused on getting it finished, because I knew if I don't finish it, it's going to get put down and it's not going to happen for a while. So it's out. Go and check it out. It's on the Padbank website. It's available on Bandcamp. I'll put a link in the description. You can go and check it out. It's called Still Cooking, and I'm happy with it. I like the mix on it. I like the flavour. And what it showed me is how quickly you can put a project out. Like, I know as producers, we sit down on beats, man. We've got beats just sat down. I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know whether we're waiting for to get a phone call from an MC to say, yo, send me some beats, or yo, I'm looking for a placement or whatever. Yo, what it showed me is just put your stuff out. You know what I mean? So now I've kind of set myself a challenge, and I'm gonna put it out into the universe, as they say. I'm looking to do a project every month for 2021. So I've already done my first one for January. It's done. It's out. It's ready to go. My plan is, and my hope is, that I want to do one every month for 2021. So that's what I'm working towards. And I'm not going to force it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put something out if it's trash. If it happens, it happens. But I'm working towards that. You know what I mean? That's my goal. So I've got enough music put down, beats-wise, easily. Even if I stopped producing today, I've got enough beats put down that I could easily do a 6 to 8 track EP every month for this year. Now, it's likely I'm going to make new beats. So it'll probably be a mix of new and old. I'll pull in whatever's relevant, whatever fits with the theme of the project. But yeah, man, that's my aim. My aim is to do a EP every month for 2021. So look out for that. And yeah, man, I'm glad I've put it out there now, because I'm accountable to it, and you guys can hold me accountable. But that's what I aim to do. So yeah, man, I encourage you. You know what I mean? If you got stuff put down, just put it out, man. Put it out. Don't let perfectionism prevent you from putting your work out, because that's all it was for me, and that's my biggest issue. It's perfectionism, worrying about it doesn't sound like this, and the mix and the arrangement and whatever else. And you know what? If once it's out, no one don't really care. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It's what it needed to be and what it is at that time. You can always improve on your work. Always. You can always mix it better. You could always have tighter drums. You can always, you know what I mean? You're always going to be growing. So if you're waiting till you're grown before you put something out, you'll never put something out, because you're always growing. You know what I mean? So it's a case of just put it out, make it the best it can be at that time, and just put it out. You know what I mean? So for me, like I said, I'm just coming up with, I've got a list of themes, which are going to be like, you know, I've got like album titles or EP titles, which are built around certain themes. I've actually already listed out all those themes for each month. Now, they might change. They're in a certain order. So it's like January, this one, February, that one, and so on. And then I've already looked at artwork as well. So I've kind of got a template where I've got all my album covers ready to go. It's just now finding the music, getting the skits, and putting it all together. So I'm sharing too much. I'm giving away too much. Let's just calm down, Tony. You know, don't get too excited. But yeah, look out for that. Go and check out Still Cooking, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. So, like I said, in this episode, we've got a interview with a fellow producer, creator, YouTuber, and just a general all-round creative, positive brother. My man CP, the creator. Now, if you've ever searched for something around music production, something around the MPC or whatever on YouTube, it's likely you've seen one of his videos. He was one of the first people, one of many, but he was definitely one of the first people who I started consuming his content on YouTube when I first bought my MPC Studio Black. And I was just going through that learning curve of transitioning from a MPC 2000, just a standalone 2000, to the software. So yeah, man, that's how I came across my brother CP. And yeah, man, like I said, he's just a generally good guy, very positive. He's a teacher at heart, and I needed to get him on the show, man. I just thought more people need to hear from this guy, and to just to kind of be exposed to this brother. So we had a good conversation. He's got a lot going on. He's been very productive throughout 2020, and he's going to continue to be productive going into 2021. He recently he took part in the Remi Martin music production competition, and he actually won it. He won the competition, and he had an opportunity to sit down and receive feedback on his track from Jermaine Dupri, Zaytoven and HitMaka, and a few other people. So they were basically listening to his music and giving him feedback, and he kind of shares his experience about that, and also just the struggles of being a creator, being a producer. Overcoming depression, staying focused, staying positive, staying inspired. So yeah, man, we had a very good, transparent, open conversation. So let's not say anymore. Let's just get straight into it and enjoy the episode.
I made it. Produced, I cooked up.
All right, so it's my pleasure to welcome CP, the creator, to the show. Welcome to the Pad Bank, my brother. How you doing?
I am great. Wonderful. No complaints on my end.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's good to have you here. I've been watching your journey for a long time. You were one of the first people whose MPC tutorial videos I stumbled across when I first got back into sampling using the MPC. So, I mean, those videos are going back, probably 5-6 years now. You're using the MPC Ren. So
yeah, I think 2014.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I bought my MPC around 2016. And obviously I was using the MPC 2000 before that. So the MPC studio was a new world to me. As I mentioned, you're a producer, you're a videographer, you're a prolific creator. So before we get into all that, I'm interested to know, firstly, where are you located and how are you doing during this crazy time we're living in, man? 2021. How you doing, man?
2021, I am doing, I mean, us as music producers and creators, we're kind of like in a shell anyway. So before the pandemic, we were already working in the same space indoors, pretty much. So I've been fine. I am in Chicago, Illinois, the South Side. I am in the South suburbs, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. So yeah, man, you bunkered down like the rest of us, just in the lab, just staying safe, staying creative.
Yeah, I recently, the past few months, I started going back out again and shooting video. Yeah. So that felt great to get out and get some fresh air.
Yeah. So what do you do to stay inspired and to, just to keep in the right mind frame, in the right headspace? So what do you do on a regular basis to maintain?
I listen to audiobooks and I read books.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my way out. Okay. Because when I've always thought when you're striving towards something that's abnormal or abstract in a positive way, the people that you need around you to help you, they're generally not around. Like it's just one in a million. So the thing that I found to be propelling and to work faster is to start listening to audiobooks and reading, flipping through the pages, and now YouTube, that type of thing, listening to podcasts.
Yeah. And any recommendations on audiobooks? I'm an avid audiobook listener myself. Any recommendations? What are you listening to at the moment?
What I just listened to the other day was Russ's, the rapper Russ. What's the name of his book? I think it's like, is it Get Out of Your Own Way? Okay. I'm not sure, but Russ, it's a yellow cover and I saw it probably about 6 months ago, and I just kept putting it off. But it's actually pretty good. It's actually not really about the music industry, and it's more about personal development. So I was surprised by that. It was really good, and it's not long. I think I got through it in like an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to check that out. I've been trying to get Jay Prince's book on audio. What's it called? The Art of Respect or something like that. You know, Jay Prince. Yeah, I'm trying to get that on
No,
audio.
I never heard of him. I
Yeah,
need to check that out.
yeah. He used to run Rap A Lot Records, so Ghetto Boys, Scarface, Jay Prince.
Oh,
Yeah, from Houston.
okay.
So yeah, he's got a book out. I'm trying to get that on audio. But yeah, and then podcast wise, what are you listening to?
Podcast. A guy named Billie Jean is marketing.
Okay, I'll have to check that.
And I chime into Joe Rogan.
Okay, yeah,
It's actually a good balance for me,
yeah,
just to stay connected to the world and just
Mm.
hear other perspectives of regular
yeah,
people's thoughts or regular people pay attention to.
yeah, yeah. Mm. I'd say at least 3 times a week I fall asleep listening to a Joe Rogan episode. So it's definitely something on my regular playlist. Yeah, yeah. All right. So as I said, avid producer, creator, videographer. I'm interested to hear your production journey. Obviously, the podcast is aimed mainly at producers. I know you've got a very varied production style. I would say mainly hip hop based, but you're quite diverse, quite eclectic in your style of production. I'm interested to know, how did you get into it, and who have some of your influences been? So when did you start producing, and how did you get into it?
Okay, yeah. So I have a very diverse musical history. I choose to show more of the hip hop side with the tutorials because that's what seemed to be more popular when I was doing more tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah.
I actually started out in classical piano when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And I did the whole thing, the recitals every summer, and I started playing in church by ear when I was 12 on the organ. So I was learning the 2 keyboard levels and how to work my foot with the bass pedal. I started getting into church and choir music as I got older and became towards the end of high school. And when I went to college, I did jazz studies. So I actually went to school. I didn't finish college. I did a half of a semester, and I was out of there. And I did jazz studies where we did transcribing, and I did some engineering, some audio engineering stuff.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I got married and I had a child, and I was at a professional level musician wise. So I was doing a lot on the gospel scene, and I was traveling a lot, and that's how I was making my living, taking care of my family. So I've always liked to think ahead. So I always thought I did not want to be 50 years old and a traveling musician. So I started to look towards other positions in the music field. And I had a friend, his name is Percy Beatty. He's a songwriter, and he was into music production, and he was producing like big gospel acts, Yolanda Adams and Marvin Sapp. And I started paying attention to him and how he was doing in the studio, and I started to learn about the longevity of writing songs. So I started to steer and study up under him, and that's my first introduction to music production. I then graduated from the gospel side and started doing more commercial things like jingles. And this was around the time when Reason 1 came out.
Okay.
I was using MPC 3000. I learned everything on the MPC 3000. I would sample vocals and everything. And so Reason 1 comes out, and I'm using Reason 1 to get placements in like grocery stores. We used to do remixes on there. And from there, I started to dibble and dabble with YouTube stuff. And that was the bridge to YouTube.
Okay.
So, and then what you saw when I was using the MPC Renaissance. Those were my first YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I actually just did those videos. It was random. I just wanted to share. So I was making music in the basement, just being happy, and I would make a video with my phone and upload it. None of that was on purpose
Yeah.
at all.
Definitely
And
served
then
the purpose because it helped a lot of people, and it certainly helped me.
it was totally on accident. And
Mm.
I started to see that it had become something.
Mm.
And that's was my bridge into learning more about video.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, all of that until today.
Yeah. And then you
Pretty
added,
much.
was it richuniversity.com? Was that kind of?
Yeah, richmusicuniversity.com.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even that, to see you doing the videos, and then, to kind of branch out into like a business venture off the back of that, using that content marketing. It's good to see other producers doing that, because I was doing that previously in another world before I started doing videos as a producer. My background used to be in youth and community work, and we had a youth work agency, so we was using content marketing, videos, podcasts, etc., to grow the business. So in terms of, again, the music journey, you mentioned the MPC 3000, you mentioned Reason 1. At what point in that journey did it become serious? Like, yo, I'm serious about this production stuff.
It was when I was using Reason 1. The reason that I got introduced to Reason was because I had got hired on. I was getting paid per week to work with a guy. He's a guy here in Chicago named Vince Lawrence. He's like a heavy house guy.
Yeah.
Very well known and respected. And he had a group called Slang Music Group. So he had what this guy was. He was like somebody I had really looked up to, because he had went and bought like a medium-sized factory-like building, and he got it gutted out, and it was his house, and then he had the studio on another level. Really, really cool. So it was like, as a young kid, that was like impressive to me, and it was very exciting. And they brought me in, and they were like, here's Reason, Logic. They just gave me all the software tools that I needed to make the music. And I actually wasn't good enough to get the job done. Like, he really lit a fire under me. He's like, no, what are you doing? That sound does not go here. This is a dance track. So we need to do A-B. And I started to learn formulas at that job. And Vince Lawrence was a big key, and he's a big reason for my skill set. With the hard work and learning software ins and outs. Yeah, I also learned how to mix there from the engineer.
Yeah.
His name is Mike C. So I actually it was a double whammy. So I learned how to get really good in production with the software, because it was totally new back then.
Yeah.
This would have to be like 2002, 2001, 2, 3, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it was a double whammy, because I learned the software, got better at production, and I learned directly how to mix from a real engineer. Like, we were all on the same floor.
Yeah.
So
do you still see those guys? You still in touch with them?
Vince, yeah, he sends me emails and text messages with opportunities all the time.
Yeah.
The engineer, I don't know where he is. I think he actually moved out of state.
Yeah. So transitioning from, because my journey was similar. I went from the MPC to Cubase to Reason. How did you find the transition from, obviously you learned your craft on the MPC, hitting pads, hands-on, you know what I mean, touching buttons, again with the keyboard, the organ, your feet, it was all hands-on. How did you find the transition from that to the screen and the software?
Time.
Yeah.
I would come home from that Jingles gig, and I would just sit at the PC and open Reason, and I would just stay in front of the computer until I just couldn't keep my eyes open. And that's all it was. I steady, because with Reason, it was so impressive back then with all the wiring,
and flip it around and wire things up, and
so it kept me busy all evening when I got home. And
still got this to this day.
Yeah, yeah.
Still got the box.
What is that? Two or three?
2.5. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yep.
All the box, the CD still in here. Everything's here, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cool to see.
This is my first thing was Cubase SE. This was the first thing I started.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So transition from the MPC, this was the first software I ever used. Well, like you said, man, the transition from hands-on to the screen, it was just definitely lots of hours in front of the screen, lots of, you know what I mean, button pushing and trying to get the quantize right and trying to get that MPC sound on the computer and not make it sound robotic was a challenge.
And since you showed that, we had before YouTube was popular with all the tutorials, we had to get books like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it.
Just in black and white. I used to spend all evening studying these.
Yeah.
So yeah, that transition, I just put the time in. I just put the work in.
Yeah. And what did you graduate or move on to once you'd finished with Reason and moved on from Reason? What was your next platform, your next door?
Ableton. I've used Reason forever. It actually made my ears a lot better. I tell that story all the time because it was the simulation of the mixers. Later on, when they came up with the software Record and they had the SSL simulation, there wasn't any graphic EQs at first. So it forced you to see the knobs. Even though it was digital, you still were just seeing the knobs on the screen and you still had to listen. It wasn't like any graphic EQ at all. But recently, a few years back, I switched to Ableton because I started to miss that MPC 3000 hands-on feel. And that push 2 was the tightest thing I could find to simulate that. MPC, I left MPC alone because it was just too buggy and inconsistent. The lack of the updates and just coming out with new piece after new piece after new piece. It was just like, Ableton was they've been consistent and solid. So I was like, let me go here and try this out. And I've been there ever since. Yeah.
I think it's definitely a mistake on Akai's part in terms of always releasing new models, even to this day. You know, I mean, they've got new models coming out. And focus on the one, get the one solid. Like, you think about the MPC 2000 and the XL, they were solid rocks. The MPC 2000 was rock solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had the remember the blue one? I had the blue XL.
Yeah. Okay. Have you still got it?
Nah.
What about the?
I don't have. I don't have any hardware. I actually have for some weird reason, I have the 2000 XL manual, but I don't have any hardware anymore.
Yeah, you probably get some good money for that on eBay.
Right, and I still have my zip drive. Remember those?
The SCSI drive, yeah, that was a game changer. Rather than having 3 or 4 floppy disks for your beats, when that zip drive came out, that was a game changer. So yeah, man, yeah. So influence-wise, then, when you were producing, who were your influences from a production point of view?
Just Blaze.
Okay.
Just Blaze when he was in his prime. Remember, it was a point where he was like heavy set and he had long dreads. Yeah. When he first came on the scene, it was Just Blaze and the Neptunes. And then after that, I would say Timbaland and then probably Kanye. But Just Blaze was first. He caught my ear first.
Yeah. Do you remember early YouTube days when Just Blaze had Just Blaze TV? Do you remember that? With Optimus.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of that. I wanted more episodes, like, you know, to see him in action.
Yeah, I used
to see him chopping up and that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he had the 5,000, remember?
Yeah.
The big 5,000. I used to watch his show and Living a Life when JD first did Living a Life.
Okay.
Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
He used to do that back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, man, Just Blaze had it on. He definitely had his time. He had it unlocked for a minute. A question I'd like to ask is the concept of a super producer. So in our day, you know, we talk about Neptunes, Timbaland, Just Blaze, Drake, etc. Those guys are like Mount Rushmore, you know what I mean? That they're iconic with their production style. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think is the criteria for a super producer in your perspective?
Man, okay, this is a good question. I'm old school,
Mm,
and I think that you have to be able to walk in any room, regardless of what equipment is in there, and make good music.
yeah.
And I think that's the criteria, is that being able to walk into a room, understand what the studio is and the equipment, at least the fundamentals of it. And then the second thing would be able to walk in the room with any artist and give them what they want. I think that's a big piece that's missing now. Like, you have all of these music makers,
Yeah.
which is great, and everybody's making beats and selling beats online or what have you. But when you take that beat maker or music producer and place them in a room with the talented artist, do they have the skill set to accomplish anything?
Yeah. Even
And
outside of
usually the answer
their
is no.
comfort zone.
Yep. And it's a lot of psychology that's involved. Artists are sensitive. You have to learn how to read people. You have to know how to serve. You have to have tough skin, because there are some artists that will be like, not feeling anything that you've pre-made. Like, nah. You have to be able to deal with that and start from scratch. You know, you have to have an ear. You can't be tone deaf. You have to know keys, how to harmonize. You know, and these guys that you named, like the Mount Rushmore producers, they have that. They have that. That's what they have.
Yeah. So let's throw a curveball in there then. So Puff Daddy, for example, iconic as a producer. Obviously, he made his legacy as a producer. He's gone on and done many other things. However, it's well known he's not a hands-on producer. He's not hitting pads. He's not, you know what I mean, playing chords. He turns up in the studio and he tells people what to do. Would you class him as a super producer?
That's something that everybody can't do as well. I mean, and that can go across all boards. Like, you talk CEOs and real entrepreneurs that have put things together and they've endured and they just understand the whole process. They may not be super good at specific things, but they understand the whole game.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with movies and film.
Yeah. Go on.
In movies and film, you have the producer is a different role. They do the management part, and then you have the director, which is in charge of the art and the talent. And those guys, they don't do lighting and camera and audio and sound. They don't know all those parts, but they're still in charge of the overall thing, keeping it together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a Diddy is. Like, he's that kind of producer.
Yeah. It's true. I think if we were to look at it from, if we were to look at the music industry in the same way as the film industry, that is actually, Diddy is playing the role of a producer. He's pulling in the right people. He's bringing these guys in, the right engineer, the right musicians, the right backing vocalists. He's picking the right samples to make the products become what it needs to become. Where I think in our day, and sometimes in our perspective, it's like, if you're not hitting the pads and pressing the keys, you ain't the producer. Where, you know, it's a different perspective.
You know, on the flip side of that, from people who are really good at business, they would look at us and say, okay, you're the talent and all you know how to do is push the keys. So they look at us like the little men.
Yeah.
So it's a few perspectives, like, hey, you just shut up and sing, you know.
Yeah.
Sing topic. It's pretty.
Yeah. All right. So last one on the super producer. If you had to make a list of super producers from this generation, from say the last 5 years, who would be on that list?
Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Yeah. That's my one.
Okay. I'm good with that. I totally agree. Yeah, man. Have you watched his NPR? Have you seen his Tiny Desk?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
You need to watch his Tiny Desk, man. Yeah, I watched that probably
I
at least
would.
once a month, just for inspiration. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I need to check that out.
check out his Tiny Desk. Yes, it's a smasher. All right, so obviously in our day and time, you know, we would buy CDs, albums. You know, we were very much into a body of work. Now, in this easy access, user generated playlist generation, do you think a body of work from an artist, a complete body of work, is still important? Because obviously a lot of people are putting out singles, and you know, like I said, on Spotify and Apple, it's all playlist driven. Do you think, what are your thoughts on a complete body of work from an artist in this day and age?
That's a really good question. I will say I think a body of work is important for
Mm,
self. I think it's important for self to tell the
mm,
story. It's important for you to be able to tell your story of
yeah,
what you are experiencing through the music, and you can't do that in one song.
mm,
Um, yeah, like I released a beat tape last year,
mhm,
and it was about 2020 and all the chaos, and there was nothing for I was it was very weird, and my solution to calm the weirdness was to create a beat tape, and I had never done it before, and the only way I was able to express myself was to have a complete body of work. There
mm,
was no way, because there's so many emotions and
mm,
elements. There was no way I could have done that through one beat. It's
yeah,
just not possible.
mm,
So
yeah,
I think it's about having a body of work is really important.
yeah, yeah. And I agree. Definitely from a conceptual point of view, from, you know, for storytelling, for taking a listener on a journey, you need that complete body of work.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you've listened to recently where you thought, yeah, man, that was a good body of work in terms of the journey or the concept, you know, the packaging, etc.
I hmm. What was the last time where that? What was the last good thing that caused me to listen all the way through? Um, because I go through my iTunes and I skip around like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, we all do. I'm the same. I've got so many liked songs on Spotify where there's times I had to say to myself the other day, I had to stop myself, and I said to myself, I want to experience this body of work. I'm not, if I don't like it, I'm still going to listen to it. So I'd put an album on and I would stop myself from skipping. Do you get what I'm saying? So while I'm in the office, I got my headphones on and I'm listening to the complete thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, I was
Mm.
tempted to skip, and I thought, no, I'm going to experience the entire body of work. You know what I mean? Some sort you got to relearn.
I think the last time I listened to an entire piece of work, it was Chance's last project.
Okay.
I think it was Chance,
Yeah.
the one with the blank CD cover.
Okay.
And I think before that was, I think it was Anderson Paak before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big Sean. Big Sean's second to last project. I listened to that all the way through on purpose.
Okay.
But I mean that's a good point. I should make a point to do that more, because I don't really do that anymore.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned your beat tape last year. I'm interested to know your production process. You know, when you're approaching a project like that, what's your process going into that process and then seeing it through to the end? Just tell us about those stages.
Well, what I did was I took the issues and the critical titles of what happened, such as like George Floyd, Kobe Bryant, Breonna Taylor,
Mm,
things that come up like impeaching the president,
mhm,
and I have these focal points that the world is talking about, and I say, what's the tone of each one? So for, let's say, Kobe Bryant, that's not a sad tone to me.
mm,
Like, I don't think of anything sad. I think champion. So that caused me to say, what's related to champion? And then one of my favorite groups is Queen,
Yeah.
and they have that "We Are the Champions" song. So I listen to that and then I sample it and I do my thing and I come up with that, and it works itself out at that point.
Yeah,
And
I
then
saw
I
that.
just
I saw the video of that when you're breaking it down. It's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So I just watch, rinse, and repeat and do that for every topic. And it's so fulfilling that it's just like it makes you fulfilled, and it becomes important
Mm.
because there's an end goal and there's a purpose. It's so different from just sitting down and practicing and just making beats from random sounds. Like it's totally different.
Yeah, yeah. And
I think
how
it's
did you?
healthier that way.
Yeah. How did you tie it all together? So did you use like interludes and narratives to tie it all together, or was it just a series of beats or tracks?
Some of the beats, well, they're all really short because from a marketing perspective, I realized that people have a short attention span.
Yeah.
So I made it right to the point, just enough to where you feel like, okay, I would switch it up. So some things are a lot shorter than others. If I had I think one of the ideas I turned into an interlude, I couldn't figure out how to make it into a full-on track. So I just left that as like an interlude, just like some pretty R&B type stuff. And then it's just, I'll use this to merge into the next track opposed to scratching it out.
Yeah, yeah. I done the same thing last year. So I put a beat tape out. It was an EP called Fire in My Soul. And the same thing, there were certain tracks that, or certain beats that it fit the tone of the project, but I thought it was just like more of an interlude. So, it's like 30 seconds, fade it in, fade it out, drop out the beats. But I'd say the longest track on there was probably like 3 minutes. The average track time probably about 2.5 minutes. Because again, like you said,
Yeah.
people's attention span is a lot smaller. And because they were instrumentals, I thought it doesn't make sense just keep looping it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So with regards to working with artists and vocalists, have you worked much recently with vocalists, artists as a producer?
I have not, especially last year. Last year was a long one. And I think I'm just now to the point where I'm comfortable at trying that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it has to be the right person. Like they have to have the right vibes and the right energy.
Yeah.
It just can't be anyone. So that's I think I'm slowly going back in that direction.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you go about approaching artists? Is it a case of someone you've already got a personal relationship with? Is it someone you just reach out to because you've heard some of their music? How do you make those connections?
Oh, well, I've never reached out to anybody. So when I first started out, I had a cousin of mine. We had a studio together, and he had a buddy. His name was John, and he was interested in management. So he would just spread the word that we were making music, and he was connected with artists, and he would bring them to us. He was playing that, the people with the bad vibes or the negative energy, and that's how it got started pretty much. And everybody else was like you said, like I had grew up with them when I was younger, playing keyboards with the younger boy band stuff, and just when we were kids coming up.
So as a creative, what are some of the struggles you've found in your journey, and what type of things have helped you to overcome them?
Man, depression is a big one. Depression is I think, and I say that so confidently because most people are afraid to speak about it. But I think depression is a major issue for creators, especially like when and you are good at more than one thing, and the decision-making process and your ideas, your way of thinking is different. There's no one around you who thinks in a like manner. At times, especially when you're a leader, when you're trying to trailblaze and you're a creator, it's tougher. It's more tough because you have to, not only do you have to blaze your own trail, but you have to take the hits even when there's no one there pushing you or encouraging you. And it can get tough, man. And I think that's one of the good things of having the internet today and having resources on our phones and audiobooks. We can tap into things immediately to keep us going.
Yeah. Even just like networking virtually, or even for me, when I first got back into the MPC, I started using the MPC in 97. I stopped around 2002, and then I got back into it around 2016, and it was a whole new world. So to go on YouTube and see yourself and others using it, it was almost like, okay, I got a circle of people around me now. You know what I mean? Although we've never spoken, or I might drop a comment and you'd reply to a comment, it was like just knowing there's other people out there doing the same thing gave me some confidence and reassurance to continue.
Powerful. Super powerful.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So those networks. So in terms of getting through those tough times, what are some of the things that you suggest to people who may be in that rut right now? What would you suggest to them?
Well, the thing that I do is I have to make the shift that I continue to do things to help someone else. That takes the shift and the attention off of yourself. Even like on a smaller level, when if you get beat block, a lot of times, if you just find, or you any kind of like business blog or anything, I've always found it helpful to just go find what someone else needs and help them. And then it just it's an amazing reset. I don't know why, but it just is. So overcoming that kind of stuff is like say, for instance, I've been heavy into cinematography, studying video, getting my chops up in that area. So I fell behind on tutorials, and I'm coming back with tutorials now. And it's hard to get back into that desire and to push I have to actually research to see what people want to learn before I create a video. That's actually hard to do. But when I think about reading the comments and seeing what people are saying or asking, it makes it a lot easier from that perspective. Like, okay, there are a lot of beginners who want to get into music, so maybe I can just show this, and then it becomes easier going down that path.
Yeah. Have you ever read that book, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield?
No, but I've heard about that.
Yeah,
I have not read that.
Yeah, again, that's available on audio as well, so it's worth a download. And it talks about, as a creative, whether it's a writer, any type of creator, the inner battle of those, the imposter syndrome, the limiting beliefs, those little voices that say you're not good enough. Who are you to go on YouTube and start doing tutorials? You don't even know, the advanced level of the software yourself. How are you going to teach anyone else? And it's overcoming those inner voices that prevent you from moving forward. Once you can move forward, and overcome those limiting beliefs, that's when you've got that real peace to say, I'm just going to do my art. I'm just going to do it. I don't care whether I feel good enough, whether I feel like I'm, I should be in this position. I'm just going to do it. And it's overcoming that inner battle. So definitely check that out. Yeah.
You said that's the War of Art?
The War of Art, yeah.
Okay.
Stephen Pressfield, his name is. The War of Art. So it's powerful book.
Okay, got it.
Really powerful. It goes a little bit deep, like I'd say after chapter 2 or 3, it goes a little bit deep into summoning the muse to help you to help invoke some creativity. I'm like, I don't really need that part, but I like the part about the overcoming the limiting beliefs and those inner voices. I can deal with that, but as for summoning a muse and putting down some creativity from, so some other force, I left that alone. Yeah, but yeah, man, yeah. I was gonna say, from what I've seen you do, it's clear that you're very much a teacher at heart. From your videos, the way you put things together, the type of videos you put out, you come across as, a person who enjoys teaching. How have you found doing that in the producer community, when in the producing community, a lot of people are quite hidden, like they kind of keep their style or their technique to themselves, or they don't want you to know how they get their sound? How have you found being so open in an environment like that?
And they still do that this day. Like guys still do that. I don't really care, man. There's enough here for everybody. There's enough for us all. Like it's ridiculous to think if you know my secret plugin or my secret VST, you're gonna take me out. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's how most people think. And maybe I come across the way that you explained as a teacher, because I get myself together before I do a video, and like, how can I actually give value? And that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah.
I really want to expand in life, and I think you cannot expand when you are clenched.
Yeah.
Keeping secrets and hoarding things.
Yeah, I hear that. You mentioned expanding. I think it was on a post you'd put out recently. You mentioned you're kind of a bit tired of doing tutorials, and you want to do more, you want to give more. How is that?
Yes.
How is that growth going, and what type of things are you doing to grow? Like where are you at now as a creator who's giving to the world?
It's very, very difficult. That's how it's going. It's extremely difficult because I want to become more to more people. So right now I'm trying to figure out with this music thing, how can I not only help people who want to make music, but how can I help people who know nothing about music, who don't care about making it, but like to listen to it? And I'm thinking bigger that way. And the start of that was when last year I won the Remi Martin beat making contest.
Yeah.
That was a result of me making a beat with bottles. Me making that beat with bottles was an experiment on trying to get people's attention who weren't not music makers, if that makes any sense. So that was my first sign. And I've just been trying to figure out different kinds of ways to do it, because those videos are hard to make. Like hitting the bottles and stuff and putting it together, like that's very time consuming. So I've been trying to figure out other ways to grow and build a fan base and do things for people, and not just Ableton users or Reason users, because that's like a smaller, like the really well-defined niche. And it's tough to get out of that and figure that out. It's not easy at all. So that's actually why I've become quiet, you know, and I'm not posting as much as I used to, because I'm constantly studying and listening and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to the resurgence of the creator. We're looking forward to that. I'm just conscious of time. So you mentioned the Remi Martin competition. So obviously you were successful in that. You sat down with JD, Zaytoven, Murder Beats, and a few other people. Tell us about that experience.
They're regular people. It's nothing. There's no magic in the process. It's nothing. There's no magic. They're regular people, regular hardworking people. And it's nothing magical about it. It's just they put their foot down. They had a focus, and they kept going until they got to where they wanted to go.
So for those that don't know, so you entered, you submitted a beat or a track to a competition, and those people mentioned JD, Zaytoven, Murder Beats, and others were judging these beats, and yours came up as the winner.
Yeah, on accident.
Wow.
I didn't know about the competition. This is super interesting. I actually made that piece of content because I was talking with my wife about exploding a brand and just becoming aware to a larger audience. And she was like, why don't you make a beat from stuff around the house? People are familiar about that, familiar with that. And I did it. And someone commented on that post and said, "Hey, you should enter the Remi Martin contest." And I was like, "What?" So I looked it up and I put the hashtag on the post. And then a month or so later, Remi Martin DM'd me like, "Hey, you're one of the final 5 entries."
Wow.
And it was like, "Huh? What?"
Wow. So you imagine do you think if you would have consciously approached that competition saying, I'm going to make a beat for this competition, would you have approached it with the liberty you approached it?
No. And JD mentioned this too. He said, he's like, "I had a question about your beat. I had a question for you." And he just couldn't figure out what made me make the beat the way I did, because it was different from the way everybody else had did it.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing I told you. I was like, I didn't know about the competition. So I wasn't paying attention to what everybody else was doing. I was just like totally left field.
Yeah.
And he was like, we were saying that it's really interesting that we can be on the same frequency. Like he was like, it's super interesting that like a major corporation and one person sitting in their house, like the frequency is the same. Like we were all on that same idea level. It's super interesting, man.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect example as well of, you know, being bold enough to take the less trodden path, to take an alternative route, and to become successful. You look at all, you know, the people we mentioned earlier, Timbaland, Neptunes, you know, and others, those who have sort of steered the flavor of the day, broke the rules and ended up becoming iconic. Do you get what I'm saying? And then everyone kind of followed them afterwards. How many people came out sounding like Timbaland after Timbaland established himself? How many people came out sounding like the Neptunes after they'd established themselves? You know, you've got to be willing to break the rules and do something off the beaten path to almost, you know, to set yourself apart from the crowd and to become successful. But a lot of the times we think it's got to sound like for me, it's got to sound like Primo. It's got to sound like Diamond D. It's got to sound like Just Blaze for it to be accepted by the community.
Yeah. That's that's true.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. So that's a challenge for 2021. Let's break the rules and let's make some stuff that's like mind blowing.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. 2021. Let's break the rules.
Break the rules. I usually say to people in the community, break the rules, but don't break the rhythm. As long as I can nod my head to it, good.
Right.
Get on a t-shirt. Yeah. All right. So wrapping up, we usually do a segment called the quickfire round, but for 2021, we've got a new segment to wrap up. It's called Underrated, Overrated. So I'm going to throw out a few words, and I want you to let me know if it's underrated in your opinion. It's totally your opinion. You're free to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's on you. So underrated, overrated. Sampling.
Okay. Underrated.
Okay. Reading music.
Underrated.
Yeah. The MPC.
Underrated.
Okay. The 808 kick.
Overrated.
Okay. New school rappers.
Overrated.
Okay. Spotify.
Underrated.
Interesting.
Because I've been ignoring that one. I'm just now learning about Spotify.
Yeah. From my experience, I would say don't get too excited. It's a lot of hype and very little revenue. That's what I would say, just from my experience personally.
Okay.
Vinyl.
Underrated.
Apple products.
Pass.
We're trying to get some brand deals for the channel. Okay. I'll throw this one in randomly. Cool G rap.
Wait, what? Cool G?
Cool G rap.
What is that?
I'm asking you. Underrated or Cool G rap? He's a rapper from New York.
I don't know.
You never?
I never heard of him.
Wow.
So overrated. I've never heard of them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it must be overrated then. Okay, analog gear.
Now, a few years back, I would say it was underrated, but today, it's VSTs are getting better and better.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'll say underrated because analog gear can do some. They just have that soul to the audio.
Yeah. I would say if someone is using it to its fullest potential, then you know what I mean. It's definitely valuable. If you're just a collector and it's just there just to say it's there, you're probably better off just having a VST.
Yeah, just stay in the box.
That's it. Okay. YouTube.
Within context, it's underrated and overrated. It depends on what group of people you're talking about. Yeah. I think older people, it's underrated. With younger people, the younger you go, it's overrated.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for that quick win.
Yeah. And then you got the two sides as well. You've got the creator and the consumer. So from a creator's point of view, do you think the creator underrates it or overrates it?
The creator underrates it.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any other platforms out there that you're looking at away from
as far as social media?
Yeah, just in terms of getting your work out there, you know, reaching your audience. Are there any other platforms that you're currently looking at or exploring?
No.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm going back old school. I've been practicing 1-to-1. So I like to. People are just overusing this term funnel these days.
Yeah.
But I am working on becoming a better human funnel. Talking to people directly, scheduling phone calls and making sales, bada bing, bada boom, like the old school way. And because I think that transfers when you understand, it helps you to understand people more. And once you can do that really well, then you can scale it. Then you can go online and you follow Gary V. Like he talks about that stuff all the time. Just caring and learning about people for listening first.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, podcasting.
Overrated.
Yeah. Go on. Tell us a little bit more. What is that from a listener or as a creator?
I think all of these answers depend. It depends on the context. So like, I think for the person looking for the shortcut, just saying I want to start a podcast just because everyone else is doing it, it seems like you're just following. I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Podcasts are underrated as far as getting your message and building an audience, because you can go video or audio.
Yeah.
So if you can go audio only and cut your workload in half and do it faster. I mean, I think it's underrated that way if you're using the tool as a proper tool.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, man, I appreciate that. So as just to wrap up, tell us where do you want to send the audience? Where can we find you? Where's the best place to, you know, find out a little bit more about CP the Creator?
Oh, follow me on Instagram, CP the Creator, spelt the proper way, CP the Creator, and on YouTube it's CP the Creator. Just subscribe, drop a comment. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. And you've got the websites up and running as well.
Yeah, cpthecreator.com.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll put all the links in the description for this, and you know, hopefully those that are interested, they'll reach out, and you can continue to share your creativeness with the audience. So my brother, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you joining us. You know, you're part of the Padbank family now. So welcome on board, and I look forward to, you know, to continue to build and grow with you, man.
Absolutely, man. The community needs more of these. I'm glad you're doing this. This is cool.
Yeah, man. 2021. Let's break the rules. Continue to create. Continue to serve your people, and just
Yeah.
just do what you do, man, and stay safe.
Okay, brother. Peace.
All right, nice one, man. Take care.
All right.
I made it. I made it. I made it. I produced. I made it. I made it. I produced. I cooked up.